how you can work out which of your team members needs what style of leadership from you. So everyone's different. You can't just apply a blanket style of leadership across your entire team and expect that that will suit everyone. So let's talk about democratic leadership. Now, this sounds great. Most of the people watching this, I imagine, are living in a democracy. However, when we take democracy into business, it doesn't always work out for the best. Now, a democratic leadership style, as you can probably imagine, means that it's more than just the leader at the decision table. In fact, the team is invited to the decision table. So therefore, you're asking for opinions, and what ends up happening more often than not in a democratic style of leadership is that you have so many opinions that it is difficult to make or come to a decision. So progress can actually be slowed down. So when we look at this style of leadership in terms of productivity, it's actually the least productive of the leadership styles, because you've invited everyone for their input, and then it's difficult to make a decision. So if you are it's often democracy as a leadership style often ends up when you've got someone who's been a laissez-faire leader trying to improve their leadership, where they've been laissez-faire, they haven't been leading at all, and then rather than stand up and lead from the front, they've gone, well, okay, everybody come and make decisions with me. So you've got to be careful if you're going to be transitioning away from a laissez-faire leadership style, that you don't end up with a predominantly democratic one, because your productivity as a decision-making unit may actually decrease. So it sounds good in theory, everybody's invited to have their say and everybody will feel like they're being heard, but your ability to make a decision may actually be impaired. So that's democratic leadership. Then we've got transformational leadership, which is as appealing as it sounds. So this is the type of leader who has the ability, just through their actions and through their words, gets the team on board and leads the team along. They help transform the people in their team. So often words like inspirational are used when it comes to being a transformational leader. So there's just a certain calmness and respect that is automatically just surrounding this type of leader. And you may have been lucky enough to work with somebody like that before you became your own boss and know exactly what I'm talking about. Quite often you see transformational leaders on the world stage. They're just able to take a whole heap of people along with them on the journey so that everybody gets to where they want to go. So transformational is definitely aspirational as a leadership style. Then we've got the final style of leadership, which perhaps maybe isn't a style at all, but it's the ability to be flexible. So a flexible leadership style. And this is where you have a real maturity as a leader, and you're able to identify the particular leadership styles that your individual team members most relate to or most require in order to be most productive and efficient. So I mentioned yesterday, that there are times in your day where you may need to use a bit more of a autocratic leadership style, because it's taking too long to get the jobs out, or you've got a tech on the floor who keeps going and answering his phone or scrolling through Facebook or whatever. So you need to bring out more of that autocratic style. You may be growing leaders, so you may be creating a void for other leaders to step into in your business. So you need to be a little bit more hands-off, and it may be a little bit laissez-faire, because you want to see what those emerging leaders will do and how they'll tackle certain situations. You may offer from time to time the carrot and stick approach, the transactional leadership style, where you want to reward your team for something, but you need them to stretch just a little bit further in order for it to happen. So being the ability to be flexible is really, really important. And we call it a leadership style, but it's really an awareness and a skill of yours that you need to develop and grow over time. In particular, you'll have certain members on your team that require structure. So this requires of the leader that each day they need to make sure that those team members that like to know what their first, second, and third jobs are for the day, what will be required of them for the day. That information is available to them as they start their day. You need to have structure set up for handling conflict, for when they have an issue and they don't know how to solve it themselves. They need to clearly understand what the process is if they're stuck on a job and they need help. Who do they go to? What's the manner in which they go to someone? Is that person you? And if so, what is it that you require of them to get the problem solved? So we've got our team members that require that kind of structure. Then we've got our team members who actually just want to be left alone, and not be left alone because they want to drag their feet, but because they're actually comfortable with everything that they're doing, and they work best if they're just left to do it, and they'll get through all their jobs and produce the result that you want at the end of the day, but they hate interruptions. So you've got to recognize that in those team members if that's applicable for you. Then you've got your team members who require recognition. Now, that's not everyone on your team, and some people will actually shy away from public recognition, but it's up to you as the leader to understand who does like that kind of filling up. So words of affirmation, it's called. It's actually one of the 5 love languages, and there will be people on your team who have that as their number 1 love language. So they want to hear when they've done a good job. It fills them up inside. So there's a lot of things that that you've got to be aware of, and it's part of your growth as a leader if you want to get the most out of your team. That you're able to have this flexibility, to have the 6th style of leadership, which is flexible leadership. If you predominantly default to one style of leadership and you don't currently have the results in business and with your team that you would like to, then the work starts with you. It doesn't actually start with your other team members. It starts with you having a look at the 6 leadership styles that I've gone through, identifying which one you use predominantly, and then critically analyzing, well, is that actually working here? Am I getting the best from my team with the style of leadership that I'm using? So have a think about that. Let me know in the comments which style of leadership, whether it's autocratic, laissez-faire, transactional, democratic, transformational, or flexible, that you're currently using. How is that working for your team? And what adjustments do you think you need to make? If you want some extra help with running and growing your auto repair shop, make sure you click the link in this post and answer a few quick questions and have a chat with our membership team. We'll work out with you if we're a good fit. All right, guys, enjoy your day. I trust you found that useful, and I look forward to hearing about your growth